Spurk, Wolfstar, Swan Queen, Clance, Stucky, Be Chloe, Destiel, Byler. What do all these words have in common? They are all ship names for non-canon queer ships. Ships that queer fans desperately wanted to see smooch and never did. Now, why am I talking about this? Because fandom is dying. And as someone who has been in fandom spaces for years, this is concerning. Shipping is a very core part of fandom. And recently, I have seen a huge influx of people spreading hatred for non-canon ships. And this hatred is based in homophobia. Now, I am someone who has been in fandom for years, shipping both canon and non-canon ships, both queer and straight ships. I'm a shipper. I love shipping. What can I say? But recently, with a particular fandom I have been in, I've noticed some queer people who partake in canon or even some non-canon queer ships spewing hatred at said certain non-canon queer ship for liking the ship. At first, it was just the rival ship from the love triangle, but lately it feels like they have somehow gotten everyone to hate said ship. I mean, they say we're lesbophobic misogynists, even though we're majority lesbians. And while lesbians can be misogynistic, those claims are very untrue. But anyways, this video isn't about that. It's about non-canon queer shipping, its history, and why it's important to queer shipping and shipping culture as a whole. So we shouldn't unnecessarily police it. But first, we need to talk about the Hays Code. The Hays Code restricted certain types of subjects from being in film and media, including subjects such as being queer. Though the code would eventually be replaced, it would have a lasting impact on media, especially how queerness is shown. Now, what is the Hays Code? The Hays Code was a guideline that imposed self-censorship upon the TV and film industry, set by Republican politician William Hays. Boo! We don't like you. Get out of here. In 1922, Hays was elected to be the first president of the Motion Picture Producers and Distributors Association and implemented the Hays Code in 1930. Taking full effect in 1934, these guidelines included a ban on anything considered sinful being included in film and TV. So basically turning Hollywood into a huge Christian propaganda machine. Now, the Hays Code affected a lot of Hollywood self-expression, but it hit the queer community hard and has left a lasting impact on how queerness is portrayed in media. Even after the lifting of the Hays Code in 1968, queerness in film was only allowed to be shown as morally wrong, and oftentimes ended up with the death of queer characters, which is where we get queer-coded villains and the barrier gaze trope. So with queerness in media being either completely absent or portraying queer people as evil, queer people sought out queerness in places that it's not explicitly stated to be. And with the rise of one of the first fandoms came the first queer ship. The Star Trek fandom pioneered fandom culture as we know it in many ways, but especially with its shipping of two characters, Spock and Kirk. The first Spurk fanfic, which is accredited as the first fanfic by many, is titled Spurkinalia. It was published in a Star Trek fanzine, and the domino effect from it created the fandom culture we have today. That's right, our current fandom culture that surrounds shipping and fanfiction was pioneered by a non-canon queer ship between two men. I have never watched Star Trek, nor do I plan on it, but I was curious. So I looked up Spurk gay moments. And yes, those men are gay and in love. I must also note that their colors are blue and yellow. More than likely a coincidence, but God, is it a coincidence I am quite fond of. Fandom culture over the years has continued to thrive, with shipping and especially non-canon queer shipping being a very large part of the culture. Ships like Wolfstar, Swan Queen, Clance, Stucky, and so many more non-canon ships queer people have clung to over the decades. Now, I feel like this is very important to mention that with non-canon queer shipping sometimes comes queer baiting. Corporations feeding off of the queer desire to be seen in media and using that to gain a queer audience and make money off of them. I can't even name how many times a fandom has created a queer ship. The show leans into it, both in the show and with the marketing, only for them to not follow through. Like, how are we truly meant to only ship canon ships when these showrunners are playing in our faces with queer rep? Like, seriously, only ship canon. Bitch, how? They're playing in our faces. I'm losing chess to a dog over and over again. So whenever we lose chess to a dog over and over again, we lean into fanon in spaces like AO3 and Tumblr. Now, both AO3 and Tumblr have separate, deep histories having to do with fandom culture that I won't be getting into in this video. But there's videos by other creators that dive into these sites and their history. I'll try to link some of them below. Ultimately, these sites have been used by fandom culture as a whole to catalog their fanfics, fan art, headcanons, and overall opinions about their favorite ships and fandoms, creating a safe space for communities of people who enjoyed the same things to thrive. And there, for the most part, was a mutual agreement of fandom etiquette, a set of unspoken rules that everyone kind of naturally stuck to. Don't like something? Don't read it. Don't ship a pairing? Keep scrolling. And especially respect the people who create. Do not send hate or harassing messages to writers and artists in fandom, or steal their work claiming it as your own. There was obviously always assholes who broke these rules, but there was a noticeable shift in 2020. Now, in my opinion, the gentrification of fandom started with editing. It started with that one Timothée Chalamet Playdate edit that made everyone want to be an editor. But they only made velocities with no real substance. It completely disrupted the editing community for a solid year. Honestly, more. It took a while for us to get back on our feet. Only velocities or the TikTok Charlie D'Amelio editor style would get any likes. And as someone who has edited on and off since 2018, this pissed me off. Since editing is a part of fandom culture and many editors are also active participants in other forms of fandom culture, it wasn't long before these people started joining other forms of fandom. Now, this wasn't the only instance of fandom becoming more mainstream in the past few years since 2020, as fan fictions, fan art, fan accounts, and fan culture in general have all seemingly made its way into the public diaspora bit by bit. And as it does, more mainstream people who have not been involved in this culture before are moving into these spaces. And it feels like they just didn't get the memo about fandom etiquette. Fandom spaces were always a place for weirdos, queer and neurodivergent people who found community and shared passionate interests for a piece of media. But It became a cute, quirky thing to have a fan account. I remember hiding my fan accounts like my life depended on it, because it felt like it did. But now, oh, look at my fan account. Oh, it's so cute and quirky. My culture is not your costume. But when editing became more mainstream, it led to these people invading not only the editing community, but joining Stan, Twitter, Tumblr, and eventually AO3. And with their lack of fandom etiquette, they started policing things like non-canon shipping, even going as far as saying that because a queer ship isn't canon, it must be a fetish. Okay, editing Nova here. I just wanted to say that I don't think that the editing becoming mainstream popular is the main contributor to fandom culture becoming like the way it is. Um, there's a lot of obviously factors. I think it's just the one that I noticed because I'm in that community, or I was in that community at the time. So I noticed. And I think it was a big one. But I think also another big one was we were just bored at home. It was 2020, and everyone was bored. So, and they found communities online, just like, we had been doing for a long time. But now these people who usually went outside and did things were in the online spaces. Anyways, you will be seeing editing me maybe like once or twice more. I don't know. Now, this rise in policing of fandom culture is happening at the same time as crystal fascism is taking over the world and society is becoming far more conservative. But fandom spaces have never been that. Editing me back again so soon. I'm so sorry. I just wanted to quickly say something really quickly. So, yes, I understand that fandom has had some issues with purity culture and right wing ideologies in the past. I feel like fandom, for the most part, though, is relatively left leaning and, you know, it's like it's the girls and the gays, the autistic people, like, where we be left leaning. Obviously there's people who sneak in and there's going to be problems, and there have been problems in the past. It's just getting worse. Sure, there's always going to be bad apples, but for the most part, fandom has been a place for queer and neurodivergent people to express their identities through talking about and making art about their favorite pieces of media. And when people who do not understand the culture come in and misconstrue what fandom culture is and dismiss the history of non canon queer shipping by saying that people wanting representation is the same thing as a fetish, or calling fans of an MLM ship they don't like misogynists when they don't even know them, it's going against everything that fandom and shipping culture was built on. Mlevins say that we are lesbophobic, misogynistic, fetishizers, that we are all straight women, and that we just want to see them kiss. Now, ignore the fact that I made them kiss up here. I just think that's silly goofy of me. It's too funny, haha. Anyways, I think that the fact that they think that we have to be attracted to the people in a ship and that we are getting some sort of sexual gratification, or that there's something sexual about it, says more about them and how they view shipping than anything else. Why does it have to be sexual? Do you view shipping as inherently sexual? So are you sexualizing Mike and 11? Something to think about. I don't know. Like, they're calling us lesbophobic and misogynistic. 90% of us are lesbians. And I would argue that we see Elle as more human and as more of an individual than they do. They only view her as Mike's girlfriend or as a self-insert to be able to date Finn Wolfhard. Like, and so they, honestly, half of the stuff that they say about us is shit that applies to them. But I don't know. And these people are saying this knowing absolutely nothing about the people they're saying it about. In fact, it couldn't be further from the truth. And they're just saying it because they hate Byler. And it has reached to other fandoms. Even fans of other queer ships are hating on Byler. Some canon, some not. So what started as a ship war between a love triangle becomes everyone, even people outside of the fandom, hating the ship because of he said, she said. And that's when we need to take a step back and think, am I in this fandom? Do I know these people? Should I put every person who ships a popular ship into a box based off of what the people who ship the rival ship say? You know, you gotta think. Use your brain. Use your brain. Also, kicking us out of fandom spaces is insane. Bylers were here in other fandom spaces for so long. Also, Byler has been around since season 1, which means we've been coexisting with you guys as Bylers. While these other ships, like when Wenclair was being made, people were already Bylers making Wenclair with you guys, like making Wenclair edits and shipping Wenclair. People are like, there are people who ship Wenclair who are like, Byler's DNI. Girl, don't you dare quote the ancient text at me. I was there when it was written. You're trying to exclude me from Wenclair? Pulls out my Wenclair fan fictions, my Wenclair edits. You're gonna kick me out of Wenclair because I shit Byler? Also, the parallels. The fucking Byler Wenclair parallels are insane. I love them. I love Byler and Wenclair. That's my shit right there. That's my shit. And also Franchella from Bridgerton. Their fandom is so homophobic, but their main priority is excluding Bylers. Like, girl, worry about your own fandom and how homophobic they are. Like, we could have bonded over our general audience fucking sucking, but no, you decide to be like this. Now, shipping wars have been a thing for a long time, and sure, you can have an opinion of your favorite love triangle, but spreading an insane level of hate about the people that like a ship based off of lies to the point that it leaks into other fandoms is not normal behavior. Now, I obviously don't have all the knowledge of fandom past. And obviously stuff like this does happen, like in the supernatural fandom, between Wincest and Destiel shippers. Now, I wasn't a part of the supernatural fandom, but apparently Wincest shippers spread hate about Destiel shippers, and it was so bad, even people outside the fandom were excluding Hellers, as they're called, from interacting with their accounts in fandoms, which, out of the two ships, you have a problem with Destiel? Okay. No comment. Fandom etiquette. No comment. The face I stay silent with. Editing Nova again, so sorry. I just wanted to say that infighting happens, right? We have infighting in fandom culture. I mean, it's part of fandom, you know? Even though you're supposed to have fandom etiquette. Infighting's gonna happen no matter what, depending on whatever, it just happens. The problem is how much more infighting there is, and like in general just being like policing, because policing causes infighting. Infighting's not necessarily always from people policing. There's other reasons for infighting, but at the end of the day, the most annoying part of all this is that it is leaving our fandom, that it is going to other people, and other people who have no idea anything that's happening here. They maybe had one experience with Bylers. They maybe, you know, talked to like one or two, or they were told, you know, about Bylers from some 11, and now they hate on Byler. That's what is really like. What do you mean you are like? I don't. You will never know the ships that I hate. You will never know because I don't talk about it. There are plenty of ships that I highly dislike. I do not talk about it because I truly don't care. It is not worth my time. So how are you allowing a ship from a show that you're not even in the fandom of? You are like you're allowing them to make you so mad to the point that you put Byler's DNI or whatever DNI. Like how? And like the people, it's not just like Franchella shippers, honestly. It's or when Claire shippers. There's a lot of Yellow Jacket shippers, Yellow Jacket fans. And it's like your entire fandom goes buck wild with the ships. This one, how dare I ship someone with the person that he's literally in love with and who is very obviously to me also in love with him, but ooh, no, ooh, God forbid. Anyways, I need to. Yeah, okay. Just like I don't like it leaving the fandom. This is our like, I don't know. Like, why are you hating on a ship that you don't even partake in any amount of the fandom culture from? Okay, I'm gonna let myself continue. But even this situation seems different than the situation with Byler and Maleven. In the Supernatural fandom, we had two MLM ships at the center of the feud. Neither of them are canon. But with the Stranger Things fandom, it's a straight ship that is canon, though it is not endgame, no matter what people say, as Mike will never see Elle again. So they are not ending up together, which is the definition of endgame. And a queer ship that is semi-canon, with Will's feelings being known, and the rest, like Mike's feelings, left rather ambiguous and up to interpretation, like everything at that damn finale. Oh, what happened with this? I don't know. Maybe it happened off camera. Maybe this, I don't know. What do you think? I just wrote some bullshit. The rivalry between these two ships is fueled by a level of homophobia coming from the 11s as they try to grasp at anything to make Byler seem like a bunch of straight misogynistic fetishizers. When that couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, they absolutely lost it when a published Yuri artist, Sumiko Are, posted a Les Byler drawing, which is insane. I thought you hated us because we're lesbophobic misogynists. But while Bylers went crazy changing their profile pics to the drawing and essentially making it a new variant, Malevin's got mad. because a Yuri artist drew Yurified versions of the #1 ship on Tumblr, which she's done this before, by the way. She Yurified MLM ships on her Instagram. She does this. Also, it pisses me off that people don't understand that lesbians can be interested in MLM ships, that we have to be like that, like, what, huh? Yeah, I relate so hard to Mike and Will in different ways. Mike is my comp head that I had to overcome, and Will is literally every me with every crush I had in high school, middle school, and maybe even elementary school, because it was all on Friends. And also, he's just a sweet, sensitive boy, and I love him, and he's my son. Like, I don't understand. Like, I relate to these characters. It doesn't have to, like, it's queerness. At the end of the day, it's queerness. And it doesn't matter if it's 2 boys or 2 girls or 2 non-binary people or whatever. It's queerness. And I can relate to it because it's queerness and I'm queer. So yeah, fandom discourse surrounding ships has always happened, but the way that it is happening now feels like it is fueled by homophobia and purity culture. And it is turning queer people against each other in a time when we need to be united the most. So this video is more for the queer people, because let's be real, the ones who are starting the hatred aren't going to see it. But if you are a queer person and you are a fan of queer shipping of any kind, I highly implore you to not give in to the hatred that is rooted in homophobia, to remember the roots of shipping and non-canon queer ships, and to have some fandom etiquette. Because we really need positivity in today's day and age. And if you are going to be an asshole on the internet, be an asshole to people who deserve it, not just queer people who are trying to ship a ship. Well, that's all, I guess. I hope you guys enjoyed. Obviously, there are some things that aren't we shouldn't accept in fandom culture, like weird age gaps and, you know, certain things. But when it comes to queerness, like, we shouldn't tell people, it's not canon, so you can't ship it. Because that's, you know, come on. Anyways, my name is Nova. I hope you enjoyed. I talk about queer media, queer history soon. I have some ideas of what just queerness in general, because we need to be uplifting each other, and queer community is important, and we need to be talking about queerness as much as possible online in this current time. If you enjoyed, please subscribe, like, comment. This is only my second video. Things will get better, I promise. If you have any suggestions for things I should talk about, there's kind of a hint for something I'm going to talk about soon in the background. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please stay safe out there. Be nice to each other. Spread love, spread happiness, and be your amazing, beautiful gay self. Because queerness is absolutely beautiful. Bye, guys.